Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I just wanted to come on here and talk because I haven't, spoken to you guys in a while. I've put out some videos. I also, I want to review, go over some of the things I was talking about in my videos. Um, but first, as I said, I just want to talk. Uh, you know, I haven't had a chance to talk as much with you guys. And I'm in some group therapy sessions, okay, where I'm interacting with people with addiction problems, homelessness problems, mental health problems, things like that. And I get to talk a little bit, to the people. And I get to help some of the people, but it's in a very limited capacity. And it's really just not enough for what I'm trying to do. I released a video just a little while ago, uh, a few days ago. Let me go check that one out so that I can tell you what I'm talking about, because I feel it was like a really important video. Um, it was called, See the Game and Restore Your Soul. Because I believe that men are being tricked, they're being played, we're being gamed, okay? And we're being gamed by fucking idiots, to be honest with you. And we're just too damn polite, and we're just too damn good. And we were raised, in this manner that we don't really see it, and we just kind of take it and bear up underneath it, because that's what a real man does. He doesn't complain. So I'm suggesting that the men are being treated so disgustingly unfairly that it's actually crushing their souls, crushing their motivation. You know, the women are freaking out, right? The men are not approaching them anymore. Okay. The women are fucking miserable, and it's 100% their fault. They're insane. It's disgusting. As in these group therapy sessions that I'm in, these things are led by women. Okay. And they are not qualified to do this job. Not at all. They're talking with people who, as I said, homelessness, prison, drug addiction. And that's just, the surface of it. So the pathology of what these people are dealing with is, it's monstrous. Okay. It's unfathomable, right? Like, there's no way you're going to like talk to them and reach them and then help them. No, you're dealing with people that are broken. Okay. So even establishing any sort of a connection with them, it's not going to happen. It's this really slow process. And what they're given is meaningless platitudes. They read other people's papers and documents, and they don't even understand the things they're reading. They don't even understand what they're trying to do. So in trying to help people, what these facilitators, and I'm actually saying this in a very broad sense, okay? Like, if you're trying to get help psychologically, emotionally, just functionally, finding a job, the people that you're dealing with, they're not qualified to help. What they're doing is they're trying to hold on to their jobs. That's it. Okay. So I've got like, a 20-year-old girl who can barely read, reading somebody else's material, and then insisting that these people who are fresh out of jail, fresh off of the streets, fresh out of, addiction, like they're coming down right now. And these idiot kids are reading them documents that somebody my age wrote, and they're pretending like this is the cure. Like these are the magic words. You just need to have self-esteem and self-worth, and you need to work on your self-image, right? And you can do this by journaling. So they're just throwing out these meaningless platitudes, this meaningless bullshit that enables them to keep their fucking jobs, okay? But they're not doing the job. They're not functioning in the job. And it's interesting because when I first started, interacting in this kind of a setting, I was trying to help. I was trying to offer some insights, some genuine insights, right? And no, they did not appreciate that, trying to do the real work, right? So what it comes down to is what I'm talking about in my recent video, See the Game, Restore Your Soul. Now, the game is male identity, right? There's no self-worth. There's no self-confidence. There's no self-knowledge if the self itself has been broken and shattered like a stained glass window. And, so like the people needing help, they're coming up with all these broken pieces of their lives, of their souls, of their hearts, of their minds, of their emotions, of their psyche. And it's just a bunch of broken glass. And it used to be this beautiful stained glass window, but now it's just a bunch of broken pieces. And they're looking at their lives and they're looking at these broken pieces and they're saying, this sucks. This is just painful, torturous suffering throughout my days. What do I do? And then they are fed these platitudes. It's known as casual compassion, right? It's a very West Coast, kind of thing. It's like, just do some journaling and you'll be just fine, right? Meanwhile, the person's, coming down from an addiction. They're fresh off the streets. They're fresh out of jail. And they're playing games with them. The facilitators, the psychologists, the therapists, they're playing games with these people so that they can keep their jobs. That's all it is. And if anybody actually comes forward with a problem and tries to work through their problems, they are shamed, they are belittled, they are mocked, they are torn down, okay? This is what I experience. This is what I see. I listen to other people's content and, what pisses me off though, are the female MGTOW content creators, right? I'm sorry, guys. I am sorry, but you're watching a woman giving you MGTOW content, then what you're really doing is just trying to hang around with a woman. That's all. It's just this same male mother need, this desperate need for the man to get the female validation. And surprise, that's exactly what's going to be withheld from you and lorded over you as a mechanism of control. That's what the people want. They want control. Yeah, you want to know what the Democrats want? They want the Affordable Care Act funded. No, they just want control. They just want to be able to shut things down. I'll tell you, I'll never vote for another Democrat for the rest of my life. Not after what I've seen, these last couple cycles here. These people, politicians, they're put in place. They take their office under the guise that they're there to serve the public trust, to serve the people. And that's not what they're doing. They're using the needs of the people as a weapon of control. It really is like children in a divorce being manipulated, and used by their parents, to like score points in the family court. And I've got some personal experience with this one. I was recently falsely accused. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by, Harry Wall. John Hannibal Smith, excellent. That's a famous personality going on there too. Whom I forget. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been dealing with a lot of bullshit, homelessness, uh, lack of employment, and lack of equipment and results, in making MGTOW content here on YouTube. I don't think that MGTOW likes. I don't think that YouTube likes men. Okay. I don't think that YouTube wants to help men. I think that YouTube doesn't like men, and I think YouTube is a social platform that wants to harm men. Now, I don't know that I'm not saying that they directly want to do that. I'm suggesting that their financial model, their entertainment model, their algorithm, okay, is geared towards destroying the identity of men. That's why the idea of a female MGTOW content creator and like YouTube pushing that content, it's absurd. It's disgusting. It's a slap in the face. They might as well spit in your face, okay? But the men, they don't care, right? Because, they just want to interact with a woman, any woman, right? So they're using that. So it's like, here, we're going to offer you some insight to make, your life as a man a little better, right? But they're not. Oh, no, they can't. What they can do is that they can reinforce this idea of female control, of the idea of men as, shit, we're not even second-class citizens, my brothers. We're not. We are not even second-class citizens. We are something below human, a step below, right? We are simply toxic. We are simply the other. We are simply the dangerous, okay? So, yeah, right? Like, I got to get blamed for enslaving every other race on the planet. I'm white, and I'm not making a big deal out of that, but, I'm white. I'm a white man. And damned if everybody in this whole fucking world doesn't hate my guts, okay? Because, I have enslaved all of those other races. Now, gender-wise, as a man, I have also enslaved all of the women, for thousands of years. Exactly how I did that, I can't explain it, right? I must have powers just well above and beyond what I can imagine. So basically, if you're a white man, you're going to get hit. And it's not going to be small. And I'm suggesting that it's been happening your whole life. Now, if that's not bothering you, if you're still moving forward in life, good, keep doing it, right? But if you've been smacked down so hard, in other words, if that stained glass window, which was your soul, got shattered, then we're in the same boat, okay? This is what we are experiencing. And as I said, it's merely a method of control. There's nothing that they want. There's nothing that they need. They just want to abuse you. A frightening truth, okay? We don't say the truth very often because it's very upsetting. People get a lot of pleasure out of hurting other people. It's one of the greatest pleasures known to man. It is, when I say, oh, now I'm talking about men. No, I'm talking about women. I'm talking about women doing it to men. I'm talking about 20-year-old girls basically taking over a meeting, okay, and being in charge. And what you're dealing with is an idiot child who doesn't even know what they don't know. And they're being put into positions of authority, like, hey, you're a facilitator to help these people that are suffering. And they are not qualified. The only qualification that they have is that they are a young woman. So more than half of your college students are female. More than half of your people in medical school are female. More than half of your people trying to become lawyers are female. And when they take over, that it becomes this human resources department, which is now only concerned with people's feelings, and that everybody gets their fair share, gets to speak and gets to share, except if you're a man. If you're a man, you better shut up. Seriously. Like I said, I'm just unloading here, right? I need this, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate MGTOW deeply. MGTOW has saved my life in many ways. What was I saying, right? I don't know. Harry Wall is here. Thank you. Thank you. Sco Social. I lost my job because of a woman. Yeah, you've lost many of your jobs because of a woman, and you didn't even know it. And I don't mean you personally, right? Because I don't know. But I'm willing to bet that 80% of the jobs that you've lost were because some woman just kind of said, I don't know. I just feel a little, I don't know. And then some other fucking white knight comes in and shuts you down. Okay. I've been put in jail. I have sat through multiple criminal trials with my life on the line. Okay. All based on a woman's lies. And the whole system knew that she was lying, and they didn't care. They just wanted to please her. They just wanted to be, Captain Save-A-Ho. They just wanted to be the good man, right? And the only thing they had going for them is, would I quit? You know what I mean? Would I accept a plea deal? And if I would accept a plea deal, then they win. And if I don't, and I keep going to trial with my life on the line based on a bunch of bullshit lies, I could die. Or rather, I could be locked up for the rest of my life. And the other men doing this, they don't care. This is what they do. They please the women. Okay, this is the validation. This is what a real man is. That's what they say. That's what they believe. They don't stand up for the truth. They don't stand up for honor. They don't stand up for justice. They don't fucking do their jobs. All they do is run around and try to make sure that the women are kept happy. And now the women are more than 50%, in the legal, in the correctional, in the justice system. So it's no longer about justice. None of these industries are about, the medical profession is no longer about providing medical care. What do you think? How about the doctors, who operate on the kids and perform the trans surgery? That's criminal. You know what I mean? They should be sued. They should go to jail. This is like crimes against humanity. It's like human sacrifice. And you're thinking, oh no, Howard, they would never do shit like that in this day and age. We're modern people. It's like, no, they will. They are doing things like that. Puberty blockers. The single mother is going to give her son puberty blockers. He's never going to recover. He's never going to recover from that. He's never going to be able to become the man that he was genetically, naturally, God-given the right to be. They're not just dropping the ball, okay? It's human sacrifice. That's what it is. And it's human sacrifice to this collective of this female human resources department. It might as well just be a nationwide human resources department. And the only thing that matters here is whether or not you have offended any particular woman or upset her. And it doesn't even matter that much because she wants to exercise her power. Boom. She just gets to go to another man, the boss, the manager, and say, I don't know. I just feel a little uncomfortable around him. And those men, those weak little son of bitches, will sell you out, will stab you in the back to win the possible favor of this piece of trash woman Now, the only thing they're selling is their sex. That's it. And I think if you have any, much experience with this, it doesn't matter how beautiful the woman is. Once you've slept with her a few times, it's like, no big deal. I mean, shit, you're a man. I'm a man. It's like, okay, moving on. Let me find another one. You know what I mean? There's no this horrible kind of bullshit. So it's just these men having to jump through hoops to please these women. And these women are just entitled fat little truck drivers. They're getting all pudgy and fat and out of shape. They're all narcissistic and crazy. You can't even interact with them. Yeah, I was in a room today. Excuse me. And the girl was talking. She was like a facilitator, group therapy. Man, I got sick. I had a horrible headache. It was terrible. She had a microphone. She wouldn't stop screaming. She wouldn't stop babbling. She was just kind of like putting out this emotional tirade of, woo, come on, everybody, let's all join in together and sing the song and bullshit. And it was like, this went on. It just went on for hours. Okay. I'm not fit to sit around and listen to anybody, by force for hours. They've got to be entertaining. They've got to have something going on. So kind of going into a deep dive here on seeing the game, restoring your soul. The male soul, male identity. Some people, they don't want me using that term. I understand. Right. And there's a good reason why you don't want me using that term, because it's mystical. It's undefinable. It's ether. It's cloudy. It's anything that we want it to be. It's kind of subjective. So what we're talking about here is a positive male identity. The idea that a man can be in this world, be a man and live a man's life and have a good, fair life and be treated fairly. Okay. Now, that hasn't worked out for me. I can't do it. Good luck, to my MGTOW brothers, right? And you guys really are my MGTOW brothers. There is nothing else going on here, right? So the everything about what a man is, keeping his word, this is a big deal. Okay, is shamed, is belittled, is held in low regard, low esteem. So the man, we're walking around and we're doing our jobs and we're sacrificing, we're being responsible, we're stepping up, we're not complaining, but none of these qualities are appreciated. The qualities that are appreciated are the feminist qualities, are the female qualities, right? That's why men watch women producing MGTOW content, because they value the women, right? It makes them feel good just to be around the woman and, just to interact with her. And it's true, right? People would always ask me, Howard, why do you use so many pictures of beautiful women in your videos? And I never really tell you guys why I'm doing it, but I think you obviously know why I'm doing it. Right? Because you see the face of a pretty woman smiling at the camera, you feel like she's smiling at you, and suddenly you feel like, okay, this whole idea of being a man is not so bad. Here's a beautiful woman, and I'm looking at her, and she's kind of looking at me, even though it's just an image. But they're out there, right? There is this possibility of this fulfillment of this basic male need. Now, a lot of my MGTOW brothers, content creators, they go with the idea that the men are just going to cut off any attraction to the women and any desire to be with them. And that's MGTOW. I don't agree with that, Now, I'm not saying what MGTOW is. I'm just saying I don't agree with that. I don't think you can take that out of the man. I think that it is inherent in our nature to wish to express our strength. And that means overpowering. That means dominating. That means controlling. That means predicting the future, having a reliable future. That means keeping your word. That means being honest. Now, this won't always serve you as well as it should, okay? Being a good, honest man when you're dealing with scumbag liars who are trying to undercut you and stab you in the back and steal from you and maybe even get you fired for sure, maybe even get you put in jail, maybe even get you killed, then no, there is no great need for you to be decent, fair, honorable, and honest with such people. And that's what the world is offering you. Now, I don't mean you personally. I mean, that's what it's offering men. That's what it's offered me. And this breaks the male identity. There is no positive male identity. Tell me of a good man. Who? Anybody, please come up with it. You tell me of a modern man in Western civilization that's a good man, that's perceived and presented as that. What, maybe George Clooney, maybe some sort of Hollywood actor, right? What was it that Leonardo DiCaprio did recently? Some garbage movie, some wokest bullshit. It's turning. It is turning. So no, you're not going to come up with one single good man. Not a one. Like somebody that Fox News would say is a good man, and the female hosts of The View would say is a good man. There isn't a single one. It's not Donald Trump, that's for sure. Yeah, George Clooney. George Clooney is a scumbag snake, right? He just wants to be popular. As he's getting older, he still wants to be able to be attractive, and get his leading roles and shit. It's disgusting the way these people sell their souls to be popular. I don't find it honorable at all. So a game is being played on the men and the boys. And the game is basically that you're a piece of shit. You're worthless. You have no value here. If you begin to speak in a group, the women will look at their watch and go, and turn off to the side. And that's your cue to stop talking because nobody's listening. And if you persist, like I do, Howard Dare, right, because I've got some practice at it, they explain to you why you're wrong and how that's not true. But it's false. It is true. It is the job. They want to talk about including people's feelings. You see, a very strong person, okay, a strong man, we might have to go back a few centuries, okay? We really do. And here, you'll understand. Good is defined as what helps him. In other words, being strong is good. Having a good shelter, maybe a cave with no bears in it, is good. Being able to build fire is good. It keeps you alive. It's good. Being able to hunt and kill animals so that you can have food, that's good. So the strong, okay, the ones who make plans, the ones who exert effort and overcome difficulties, that's good because it keeps you alive. And that is strength. And that is part of men's nature. And there's some negative sides to this as well, but I wouldn't even call them negative. It's good to be strong. It's good to win a fight. You ever get in a fight with somebody who was an asshole and punch him in the face a few times? I'm sorry, man. It feels good. What do you think? Like you hit him in the face and you're like, oh, I feel so bad. I shouldn't have hurt him. No, fuck that. You're like, fuck yes. I hit him in the face and he's going to get 5 or 6 more if he doesn't back down. And that's a good feeling because it means you're strong and it means you're capable and it means others can't dominate you and overcome you and crush you. That's good. But not in this world. No, 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 no. You have to be nice. You can't hurt anybody's feelings. You can't have any male qualities. You cannot prize and value the male qualities. What's wrong with 2 men competing for a job? What's wrong with 2 men competing to win the affection of a woman? What's wrong with 2 men competing to see who's physically the best? This is a wonderful thing. This is a part of being human, okay? This idea that we're supposed to be full of pity and mercy and compassion for other people's feelings, it makes us sick. It makes us weak men. And I'm not calling anybody out there weak. I'm saying that this modern conception of how we're supposed to be in the world is a bad deal for the men. There's no way. I can't see any way for the man, for average man, to move forward as a man in this world and make his way. He'll be fired. Soon as he displays any sort of personality and says, yeah, I got that sale. I beat the shit out of everybody. I'm the top salesman for the week. You all suck. You should all do what I do. For him to say that, he'd be fired. And yet, if he doesn't have that drive, he's weak. So you see, by trying to be too nice, by trying to be too feminine, by trying to make it fair for the women, by trying to make it fair for everybody, you've cut the legs out from under what it means to be a strong man. And if you think I'm like just grasping at straws and shit like that, no, they're taking their own sons and giving them puberty blockers. It's real. Okay? You know, you have a group of young boys. 1 or 2 of them, they're going to be a little bigger. They're going to be a little stronger. They're going to be a little faster. They're going to be a little smarter. They're going to be a little more willing to take some risks. They're going to be a little more inventive, right? They're going to get punished. They're not going to be held up. They're not going to say, wow, that, good job, Johnny. Keep going at it, man. Maybe you'll become a football player. Maybe you'll become a leader. Maybe you'll become somebody that other people can look up to and then can take inspiration from. Bullshit. They're not going to allow that. They're going to say, who the hell do you think you are? Get back in your place, Johnny. I've seen it many times. So all the things that are good, meaning they are life affirming, they help you do better in life. All of these qualities are disparaged, are torn down, are called toxic masculinity because we're civilized. Indeed, the idea of civilizing a man means to make him weaker. And I know these are harsh things to say. For me to even say them is like, oh, Howard Dare's, going all Nietzsche on us. He's going all Ubermensch on us. I was like, yeah, we need to understand where these ideas came from. We need to understand their true value. We need to see how sick the men are becoming. Is being a nice guy killing you? Had a good friend here a while back. Good man, good MGTOW. Vention MGTOW. A lot of you guys remember him. He was a good friend. He passed away. Is it possible to be too nice? Is it possible that to be too nice, to be too fair, to be too equal? We're not equal. Some of us are big, strong. Some of us are smart. Some of us not so big. Some of us, quick, fast. We're not equal. We're born. You could say that we're born equal because we're all born to women, right? But after that, like nobody's, we're all born. We're all human. So we're born equal. But that doesn't mean that we're equal in ability. So the good, strong man, right? We're going back thousands of years now. He's got a good cave. He's strong. He's got some good spears that are long and sharp and sturdy. He's got some good hunting skills. He's eating good. He's making it through the winter. He's a good, strong man. And the women and the other men are coming to him and saying, hey, we're going to follow you, right? Because can we hang out with you? Can we be with you? And that man is basically saying, if you do what I do, if you do what I say, then yes, you can. But if you don't, I'm going to throw you out. And if I can't throw you out, I'm going to get you killed because you're not doing what's right. You're not doing what's good. You're not doing what's affirming for life. The men are not affirming their own masculinity, their own lives, because they've been shamed out of it. And it's killing us. It's making life, it makes life meaningless, okay? So now you've got a bunch of people hanging around the cave, and there's children, and there's more women, and there's some of the older men that are good. They're still good. And some that aren't, some that are just freeloaders, that are just loafing off of the whole situation. Scraps. In some cases, it's okay. Not everybody is a great hunter. Maybe they can contribute in some other way. Maybe they can sharpen the weapons. Maybe they can do those other things. Maybe they can stand guard. These are life-affirming skills, abilities. Understand, even though you and I, we were just born X number of years ago, okay? But the culture, the ideas, these things were in place before we got here, and they change, okay? So it's not like, well, I was born and this is the way things are. No. We were born into the way that things are, but they came from someplace else. There's a story behind it. There's a reason behind it. There is the ground in which these seeds developed. And if you don't, sometimes understanding the ground in which an idea developed is more important than the idea itself. So these ideas of strength, of virtue, of honor, of keeping your word, okay? Honesty. Understand, there is a time when we didn't have those qualities as human beings. And do you know how we developed them? See, this is what I'm talking about. Understanding the ground in which the seeds come from. So how did we develop the idea of truth and honesty as men, as people, as human beings? Because to start out with, no, not a good deal, right? Person would just grab a bit of food and run off with it. They didn't hunt it, it wasn't theirs, and they would just run off and take it. And if they could get away, they got away. But if they couldn't get away, guess what happened? You know what happened. They got punished. They got punished bad. Back in those times, chop off a hand. Still do that. Person steals an apple, steals a piece of meat, you chop off their hand. Brutal, isn't it? You're damn right it's brutal. Now that, guy's walking around with one hand, and the other men see that. The other potential thieves and freeloaders, they see that. And they say, well, that's not going to happen to me. But then they go out and do it. And now this time, you don't just chop off their hand, you chop off their fucking arm. And I know it's brutal. It's brutal. Okay? This is the soil in which responsibility and truth-telling developed. The punishment was so severe. In other words, if you borrow money from me, you better remember to pay it back. Because if you don't, we won't just take that amount of money back. We won't just chop off one finger because that's about, the equal value. No, we'll chop off the whole fucking arm. We'll kill you. And this is the early time. This is the development of honesty, of truth-telling, of keeping your word, of honor. Do you see how early man, animal man, many thousands of years ago, it doesn't make sense to be honorable. It doesn't make sense to keep your word. They scrap after the food, they run away, they fight. But if they steal the food, then the fight ensues. And the beating is so brutal that individual man, he will remember, oh, if you steal and they catch you, they may beat you to death. It's brutal. It's extreme. It is blood. And it is by this method that honesty, truthfulness, responsibility, keeping your word develops. Otherwise, people wouldn't do it. The price had to be so severe that it was forged and seared into their memory, perhaps by looking at their missing hand. That's how brutal this male virtue, this is the soil that it comes from. And now a man can say to another man, can I borrow $50 and I'll pay you back in 2 weeks? And he knows he better do it. And if he doesn't, now we've got a legal system that'll come after him. Unfortunately, that legal system is now going to be run by women. And, it isn't right to hold people to account. It isn't right to make people keep their word. What the hell is this honor bullshit the women say? We just want to make sure that everybody gets taken care of. So this is the new soil that our ideas, our customs, our practices, our praxis, our right to rule is based in. A feminine ideal of taking care. Nothing good can develop out of it. This is why the men, the men on the left in the media that you see, this is why they're mealy-mouthed. This is why they're so gay. This is why it hurts you to listen to them, because they have adopted the female ideas and ideals. And that's not where we come from. And that's not what we are. We are man. And we must be strong. We must overcome. We must stand up. We must fight. Do you ever stand up to a bully? Like, as a young kid, you're afraid. And sometimes you stand up and you even lose the fight. But you're like, nah, I feel better now. Even having lost this fight, I feel better for having stood up for myself. This is what we're losing. These are the qualities that we're losing by being nice, by pitying everybody, by having compassion and mercy on everybody, by understanding everybody, by forgiving everybody, by never holding anybody to any sort of harsh standard. We've turned life, human life, into garbage. We've turned it into mealy-mouthed begging. We've turned it into something truly pitiful. Now, the strong man, who's leading the cave that I was talking about earlier, there's a few other men, and they're strong too. And they can hunt too. and they bring new skills to the table. And we develop a clan, a group, and it is governed by these harsh realities of being honorable, of keeping your word. And if you don't, we'll chop off your hand. We'll kill you. It sounds so unfair, doesn't it? But it's not. It's what had to be. So if you've got a group of 10 people and you've got an X amount of supplies for the winter, one person is stealing those supplies, what do? At the very least, you kick them out, right? But then when somebody else gets hungry, they might start stealing the food too. So I'm sorry. Our past, where we developed the qualities that make for a good man, and what I mean by that is life affirming. He's got the skills. He can do the things necessary to have a good life. These things grew in these brutal circumstances. So now you've got a bunch of new people in your cave, in your clan, and there's a lot of weak men. Maybe you picked up another tribe, on the other side of the mountains, and they're just a bunch of farmers. They don't hunt. They can't kill. They don't keep their word. They steal. They lie about each other. And it's kind of hard for them in your clan because your clan is a man's clan, MGTOW. You don't stand for any bullshit. You don't stand for any weakness because if you do, people are going to die. Good people you care about. And what do these weak men do? And what do the women do who want more food, but they can't earn it? What do? Do they become better hunters? No. Do they contribute to the group in some other way? By taking care of the weapons, by fixing up the camp, by guarding the camp, by scouting? No, they're too weak for that. And no one has ever held them to account. The very soil out of which the strong men grew, they didn't grow in that soil. They grew with a human resources department that made sure that everybody got to speak at the company meeting. Right now, we're jumping through time now. I get to do that, right? I get to do that. It's my narrative. So I get to go from prehistoric times, boom, to modern times. And I get to mix the two together. And this is the power of the narrative, of the storytelling. Stories are a big deal, it's important because here's the thing. You can't encapsulate the entirety of the idea of the morals without the story. Otherwise, it's just historical fact. Otherwise, it's just information, right? So the story of the three little pigs develops serious meaning within a story. But if you were to just say the moral of the story and skip the story, which is, be prepared, do your best work, and it will withstand the danger and the obstacles. Nobody's going to remember that. Nobody's going to hold on to that. But if you give them the story of the three little pigs, it's like, oh, okay, I got it. And they'll keep it for a lifetime, They might not understand, but back to my, other narrative. The weak people undermine the strong people. The weak people say, it's good to take care of others. You see, now good, which was previously described as life-affirming skills, meaning it's good to be strong, it's good to be able to hunt, it's good to be able to handle a spear, it's good to be able to fight your enemies and kill them. And it's good to chop off somebody's hand if they try to steal from you. Because they just don't fucking understand. They just don't get it. They're just not that smart. And I'll give you something else, which is a harsh truth. It feels good. I know, it sounds horrible. It feels good to punch somebody in the face when they have it coming, when they've threatened you, when they've become a danger to you. But what if you can't punch them in the face? What if you're not strong enough? Well, then, what you're going to do? Well, what the weak people do is they use relational aggression. They tell dirty lies behind a person's back. They undermine them politically, socially. Sound familiar? This is the soil that all of our sickness is born out of. It's born out of weakness. It's born out of rejecting this male ideal. So, early Bronze Age, right? This is the time of the Greek heroes. These are the stories of the Greek heroes, of the Greek gods. This is masculine virtue, and it's brutal. And they got no problem with it being brutal. That's part of it. But then we move forward, and a different type of human being comes into play, a very slavish, a very dependent, a very unwilling to work, unwilling to risk type comes in. And they say, it's good to turn the other cheek. They say, it's good to feel sorry for people. They say, it's good to forgive people their debts without chopping off their hand or their arm. That's good. Why do they say that? Because they want to steal the food and they don't want to get their hand chopped off. Makes perfect sense. This is the soil in which weakness grows. And now we are overcome with this type of weakness. And we have rejected male strength. And you may think, oh, this doesn't apply in this day and age, but it does. You're still you're still a man. You still have a man's soul. It's the same situation. Frank Rizzo, thanks for stopping by. MGTOW Riders, 2 MGTOW Riders, and 1 Father Abraham. Yeah, the call to adventure, right? There's Abraham. He's well off. His family is well off, man. He can just hang out in tents and eat grapes and have women all around fanning him with giant palm leaves, drinking wine and shit like that. But no, they say, it's like, okay, that's it. That's your life. That's all you've got. That's all you're going to do. You're going to get fat until the day you die, and then it's over. Or you could go on an adventure. You can walk away from all of it. Might be hard. Might suffer too. But it might be treasure. It might be glorious. It might be the birth of a new nation. You may be the father of a nation. That's a good deal, right? So either sitting around in comfort with no worries, which is not bad, or going out into the world, risking it all, but you can win it all. We don't take those chances anymore. The call to adventure. And then you've got Moses, right? Which is a call to justice. A call to justice, to the law. Moses kills the man, doesn't he? He kills the Egyptian. Oh, what a bad man he is. He's not. He does what's right. This was power. This was good. Would it have been better? I think you all know the story, right? And I'm just using this as an example. And I don't even really like to use the biblical stories because I believe that they've been co-opted and the narrative has been changed from being a strong man to being a weak, slavish man who goes along. So Moses, an Egyptian prince, sees one of the Egyptian guards beating the old Jewish woman or slave woman. It doesn't have to be Jewish. And he puts a stop to it and he kills him. Then he has to run away. Was he wrong to do that? Should he have instead just stood there and watched? Should he have perhaps joined in? Maybe. But in any case, he didn't do that. He did what he wanted to do. And that's good. And that's strong. And that's justice. And that's how you learn about the law. So everything that's good about the men is shamed and belittled and torn down and mocked. Like, we don't need that anymore. We need to be much more civilized. And the price we pay for that, for giving all of that up, I'm not suggesting that we should go around chopping off people's hands and stuff. I'm not suggesting that. But the price we pay for being so merciful, for having so much pity, for being so meek, for never upsetting anybody, for never doing anything that might trigger somebody. The price we pay for that is that masculinity itself is dead. Now, the women are sick of the men, right? But what are they really sick of? I think they're sick of these fake men. I really do. Women aren't being approached anymore. No man with a half a brain would walk up to some stupid woman just because she's pretty now. I mean, you would have to be a young man her age. Right? And she's smiling the whole time, right? While she's, checking her makeup, checking her social media. And you guys were watching her. And you know what she's doing? What kind of content she's making? She's making MGTOW content. That would be like me, Howard Dare, making feminist content. Are you, can you get the insight there? Why would a strong, capable man make feminist content? Might he be trying to trick the women? Might he be trying to take advantage of the women? Why is a woman making MGTOW content? What can she offer except for her sympathy? You don't need sympathy, you need strength. You don't need understanding, you need purpose. You need drive. You need to feel good about punching somebody in the face. Watch the movie Fight Club, please. There's no future for this modern man as they've fashioned him, as George Clooney would have you believe he is. What's Brandon saying here? He says, YouTube guys are not allowed to dominate, though only other ethnic IC groups are. Well, exactly. White men, the dominant group who built all of this, the soil out of which all of this grew, all of the things that are valuable to us, that give us a strong, secure future, that allow us to use technology, that allow us to overcome Mother Nature. No, they're not allowed to dominate. And yet that is their birthright. To dominate, to overcome. You are the strong. You are the smart. You are not the weak. You don't need permission. You don't need their fucking approval. They're not going to do a good job. You think these women that I encounter who are doing, this facilitating for these people that are suffering with homelessness, drug addiction, legal problems, being in and out of jail, you think these 20-year-old girls can help them? You think that they've got insight? You think they're doing anything other than trying to hold on to their jobs and become more important in the group? It really is like a cave, like prehistoric times. Okay, dominated by, hunting saber-toothed tigers and shit. And the women are in charge. And the weak men. When America was first formed, the colonists came over here and they brought their social conventions, their culture with them. And so what they tried to do is the old men who had connections politically tried to just sit around and do nothing and have the young men work. And then they would take a portion of their work. And the colonies weren't taking off. They were just, they weren't sustaining themselves. They weren't life affirming. Until finally, who was it? Was it John Smith? I believe it was John Smith. Was John Smith's middle name Hannibal? Might be. I should check. He said, well, some of the colony, people in charge, they said, no more. Okay. Every man gets a plot of land. Every man gets to work that plot of land. And anything that comes out of that plot of land belongs to him. And once they did that, the colonies started to take off and become self-sustaining and to become strong and to build America. So this is what I'm talking about. Not some agreement that the young, strong men are going to do the work throughout the day and the old men are going to read stories throughout the night and the young men are going to give half of their food to the old men. No. This is your plot of land. You can work this plot of land and you can have the resources out of this plot of land. Paha. Motivated self-interest. The fucking engine of the world, of humanity. Motivated self-interest. That's the engine. But we're all going to take care of the group now. Everybody's going to get their say. Nobody's better than anybody else. It doesn't matter how good, how smart, and how hard you work your land. We're all just going to have an equal proportion so that everybody gets taken care of. That is the soil in which weakness develops. So now, what they call good is whatever serves them. So it's not good to be strong. It's not good to be able to hunt. It's not good to have a strong spear and a strong cave and the skills necessary to, butcher your animals. That's not what good is. That's cruel. That's vicious. That's brutal. That's toxic. That's barbaric. And to delight in that, like a Viking berserker, to delight in that power and that strength. And this is dangerous. It is dangerous. That's not good. That's barbaric. That's what they would have us say. And indeed, it is frightening. It is uncomfortable. But if you give that up, then you lose masculine virtue. And you have men that are just going along to get along so that they can hold on to their job. And they sure don't want to speak out and help, and interrupt the little lady, even though she can't do the job. So let's make her captain of the ship now. Let's put her in charge of the ship. She can't run the ship. She doesn't know anything about the ship. She doesn't even know what the ship is for. She doesn't understand that we're going to war. She doesn't understand that we are at war, even when we're not at war. And the civilized people are hearing me say this, and they're saying, Howard Dare is such a barbarian. Yes, good. I love that. But it's not a barbarian. It's the soil out of which honesty, truth, honor, strength, virtue all develop. And the price you pay for that is that you've got a Viking berserker walking around. You've got some guy who's 6.5 feet tall, 250 pounds, made out of muscle, and he can smack almost anybody down in an instant. That's a little uncomfortable. That's a little dangerous, right? Or like a big black offensive lineman from the NFL, right? It's like he's got a neck as thick as, most men's legs, their thighs, Yeah, it's a little scary. It is. But it's also a little glorious, isn't it? It's also very impressive, isn't it? It's also worth a lot of money, isn't it? Wow, it would be great if he could pass those genes on to his children, because they would be really well served with them, wouldn't they? Or would they be better served being sickly and mealy-mouthed and full of mercy and pity and begging and never interrupting anybody and never saying anything that might offend anybody? MGTOW is freedom. Exactly, caveman. It's exactly right. And, we've got to fight for it too. There's the ideas, the very virtue of our soul, of the masculine soul, is developed in fire, in brutality, in overcoming deadly obstacles. It's real. Those were your ancestors. Those were your fathers. That is your legacy. That is your birthright. And the weak and the dependent and the sick and the botched and the malformed and the greedy and the dirty and the unclean, they want what's yours. They can't take it in a fair fight. Hell no. But they can take it with politics. They can take it with relational aggression. They can take it by making you feel shame and guilt. They can take it by demeaning and undermining the very life-affirming virtues and values that keep us alive. So that's what we've sacrificed. So in being civilized, in being this nice guy, my friend dies. Okay? He's so nice. He's so kind. He's so giving. And it kills him. It breaks his heart. It breaks his soul. And you know what reward he gets for all that sacrifice and kindness and goodness? Think about it. Do you know what the men get for being so nice to the women? They get to be an object of disgust and shame. And rightly so. Rightly so. Because it's not a man anymore. It's a beggar, because she's so pretty. There's a recent Vogue article. Women are embarrassed of showing their boyfriends online, right? So the posts from the OnlyFans model, okay? She doesn't want to show her date. She's streaming while out on a dinner date with a man. She's showing the food that he's buying her, okay? She's bragging about how expensive the place is because she's so beautiful. See, that's the exchange. She didn't earn it. She's not out with a friend having a good time. She's not getting together with a man and building a relationship. No. She's very beautiful. She's pretty. And as a result, some man is buying her things. She's a princess, literally. And she's showing it because that's what she wants, external validation from other women. But she doesn't want to show the man. Doesn't matter, he could be a good-looking man too. Could be, the ideal perfect man. She's embarrassed. So you buy the house, you build the house, and then she makes her content in that house, but doesn't show you. Come on, honey. Don't you understand? Don't you understand that my fans wouldn't appreciate that? That's what she says. How's that make the man feel? You think he's now motivated to get a bigger house? To start a new part of his business? You think he's motivated to do that when she's treating him like that? She's embarrassed of him. They're embarrassed of their men. It's amazing how that's even possible, isn't it? They shoot engineers. They shoot horses. Once the engineer has designed the product, there's no need for him. Once the horse gets old, there's no need for him. Once the soldier gets too old, You know what you do? You send him out for one last hurrah, knowing that he's going to get killed in it. Because that way you don't have to pay for any benefits or anything like that. So this is the true brutality of life. But this is what we cover up. This is what they're ashamed of. So they want the resources, they want the benefits of the strong man, and they have it. They have the technology. She gets more views for MGTOW content than I do, by far. She gets more views than my old friend Sandman, by far. Not even close. Do you think she has more insight than myself or someone like Sandman? Of course she doesn't. She hasn't experienced any of it. None of it. She doesn't know anything. She's just kind of pretty. So what does that do to the male soul? What does that do to the male strength? How's that soil? You know, you got a good seed, right? You got some good genetics going on there. Decent genetics. But the soil that you're putting that seed into is garbage. There's no nutrients in it. There's no self-motivation. There's no glory of man in it. They want us to eat bioengineered meat and live under Noahide laws. They want us to live under Sharia law. You know what I mean? The women are so in love with hating their own men that they want to adopt Sharia law. Gays for Palestine. Right? Let them go over there and fucking do their activism. Please. See how fast they get thrown off the roof. It's an interesting idea, you know. I think it kind of illustrates what I'm talking about. The idea of, you know, gay men in the military. Now, I don't mean gay men. I don't care if a man's gay. What do I care? It doesn't mean, you know, it's disgusting, but I don't care. No, this is the idea of the outwardly prolific gay man in the military. This is, you know, queers for Palestine. This is gay pride. Okay? Think about that. Gay pride. So not only, you see, a person could be gay and they could be proud. They don't have to be ashamed. Okay? But they don't have to then dress up as a woman and parade down the street and call it gay pride. That's something else. That's poisoning teachers, right? Who go into the classrooms with facial tattoos, facial piercings, and they want to read transgender literature to the children. That's something else. Media suggesting that puberty blockers for boys, you know, that's a good idea. That'll give them some options. It'll destroy them. It will destroy their health. It'll destroy their future. But, you know, they want to make sure that he's a nice, gentle boy, a good boy, civilized boy who understands, right? So any other minority steps up. Any woman steps up. Any person who's sick steps up. Any person missing a hand who steps up. Well, we're going to make them the quarterback of the team. They're going to lead us to victory. And if they don't, that's okay. Because what really matters is that everybody gets to play. So you see, it's no longer life affirming, is it? It's death affirming. Don't you see that, right? That by indulging the weakness, what we're actually doing is we are rejecting the life affirming virtue and strength of what a man is. And while it is more civilized and safer, and you don't have, you know, the blonde Teutonic Viking striding through your streets, which is a little scary, or, you know, the NFL football offensive lineman or defensive lineman, you know, basically running everything. It's a little scary. But by denying it, you turn us all into weaklings, into sickly dependents. And I believe that's what's killing the men. I believe that's what's breaking their hearts. They've lost touch with their masculine energy because society has shamed them out of it. Because society, for the most part, is weak and not functional. They can't do the job. And it's not about doing the job. It's not about a battleship being a battleship and winning the war. It's about everybody's feelings on the battleship. So by doing that, you invalidate the battleship. It's no longer a battleship. Now it's some disgusting little media enterprise like The View. Right? Starship Enterprise. Go ahead. You tell me of one good man. Tell me one good, strong man that the media sees. It's not Donald Trump. It's not Elon Musk. Is it a military man? Is it a sports hero? Because if it, sports heroes have to jump through hoops, right? They've got to, you tell them they have to put on a dress and wear high heels for a day and play the game that way, they'll do it, because there's that much money involved in it, going along to get along. So that's what's going on there. J.D. Vance is our way into bricks and Jesus, the way to Israel. Okay. I got no problem with any of that. You know what I mean? I really don't. Yeah, Jesus. That's a very interesting character right there, huh? It's possible that, it's possible that he was just a man. It's possible that he was a man who just, was a prophet and did man's things and got crucified for it. And then the disciples kind of made up some other stuff. It's very possible. Yeah, you got to realize what that means when I say that, right? It's possible that he was just another man, but a great prophet and a great leader, and that he got killed for it, and that the rest of it was just kind of added into it. Yeah, that's a possibility. And I don't want to go in and go after question people's faith or anything like that. But let me give you something here. 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, just have faith. 2 + 2 = 4. Do you need faith for that? No, you don't. You know that 2 + 2 = 4. It's true. There's no you don't need faith. I'm not asking you to believe anything. 2 + 2 = 4. This is our agreement. This is how we count our numbers. No faith is required. Faith and truth are in different places. They're not the same thing, right? I'm not going to go into this too deeply, but you get it, don't you? If it's true, you don't need faith. If you know something, you know something. There's an interesting interview with Carl Jung, the father of the shadow, this idea of our personality. And the interviewer says to him, do you believe in God? And he says, what do you mean believe? And he says, I don't need to believe. I know. Do you believe in the table in front of you? Do you believe in that table? Is that the same type of belief that we're talking about here? Okay, so, Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, okay? Adam is given the task of naming all of the animals. So he gets to name things. He gets to decide what the thing is called. So we get to decide what we call good. And as I said, this is strength. This is male affirming ability to live your life, to prosper in life. That is good. And I, as a man, I get to define that. I get to name the things. That's good. And the things which hurt me and cripple my ability to perform these life affirming actions that make my life better, I'm calling them bad. Those things are bad. And even behavior, which doesn't foster this life affirming strength, that's bad too. We'll chop off your hand. We'll chop off your arm. We'll put you to death. We'll burn you alive. We'll put you on the rack. We'll draw and quarter you. We'll hang you by the neck. This is good. This is bad. And we get to decide. And it's frightening, and it's brutal, and it's uncivilized, and it is the soil out of which our strength grew. But now another type of man comes along, and he is not strong, and he is not affirming, and he can't fight for himself, and he can't stand up for himself. And he has to beg for food. And he says that anybody who's stronger than him is bad. And that anybody who is kind to him and has mercy on him and shows him compassion is good. So he gets to name things too, but he names them in the opposite direction. And then he goes a step further. Notice how good and bad are two sides of a coin, right? One side good, one side bad. But now notice how good being on the one side, bad being on the other side, bad becomes evil. He gets to name things in his own mind. He gets to name things. So he gets to say that those men who can go out there and hunt, those men with spears, those men with skills, those men who know how to butcher the animal, those men who will chop off your hand, who will chop off your arm, who will hang you by the neck if you break your word, if you are not honorable. They're not just bad, they're evil. So the soil out of which we grow has been deemed toxic and evil. And the good, which serves the weak, the sick, the botched, the unclean, the dishonest, the dishonorable, that's not just good, that's God. That's our ideal. That's what we pray. That's what everybody should be. How dare you not be that? What are you, some uncivilized barbarian? Oh, of course not. Of course not. Because if you are, then the women are going to throw you out. So you're a good guy. And the idea of gays in the military sits just fine with you. Not you personally. And the idea of them having their gay pride parade to make a mockery out of all of this, out of where we come from, the foundations of our strength, they get to make a mockery of that. So a man dresses up as a woman. A healthy young boy is given puberty blockers and encouraged to have transitional operations. Yeah, look at our recent, assassins. The last two assassins. The attempted assassination by Cook from Trump and of Charlie Kirk. Trans activists, Antifa, young boys, but not men, not strong men like I spoke of. The weak, capitulating man, boy, who wants the approval of the group and the woman. And his feelings are very strong. They feel like they're doing the right thing, but they know they're betraying themselves on another level. Yeah. Most of our mass shooters lately, they're all trans activists. Is that like, like, oh, wow, what a surprise. I could have never seen that coming. For God's sakes, hey, AP 530, thanks for stopping by, bro. Yes, yes, good times, right? I'm just hanging out because, man, I'm not allowed to talk in a female world. Really, I'll just like not being able to say anything, not being able to talk. Um, so one of the good things about not having a big channel that is sponsored by YouTube, I get to say what I want. I get to do what I want. I get to do what I want for as long as I want. Anything I put on here, you get to listen to it if you want to. There's no commercial. Oftentimes I'll like put on, take a guess what audiobook I'm listening to right now. Nietzsche, The Genealogy of Morals. That's what this talk is from. These ideas, that's where they're from. So, I put it on. Excuse me. And I lay down. I'm just going to let it, play off in the background. It's not 30 seconds before some gay ass feminized commercial comes on singing to me about, how I need to be more understanding and how I might need this or I might need that. Yeah. And I search on MGTOW and I see, female MGTOW content creators, getting, 50,000 views and shit like that. But here's the thing. It's okay, right? It's disgusting. It's YouTube promoting a feminized view of MGTOW. That's right. And the men just eat it up. It makes sense though, too. You can understand. Like I can't begrudge them too much. But I find it to be very foolish and it hurts me. It crushes my spirit because I know that they don't know what they're talking about, that they have no experience, that they have nothing to offer except for compassion, except for sympathy, except for weakness, except for feelings, but not anger, not brutality, not why we had to chop off people's hands, not why we had to hang people by the neck, not why we had to burn people alive. And understand, for all of its brutality and barbaric, nature, it is the soil out of which keeping your word grew. That's where honesty came from that brutality. So the values are inverted. Slave morality, master slave morality, aristocratic, yes, even Aryan aristocratic ideals, strength, power, overcoming, fearlessness, risk-taking, and all of the danger that entails, innovation, fearlessness, exploration, life affirmation, the ability to stand up and be strong in the face of Mother Nature comes out of us struggling through hardship. The best battleship in the fleet because it went through the most battles and killed most of the enemies. So that's bad. That's evil. Not for a battleship. That's exactly what a battleship is supposed to do. If a battleship can't do that, it's not a battleship. So what the fuck is going on? So how is a man supposed to get his head on straight and become strong and overcome and support himself and support those he cares about if all he is some accessory to a woman that she won't even show on social media because she's ashamed? And if you don't like what you're hearing, I can find you a pretty woman to say it. I can, she won't say this, but, she'll say stuff. That's, of course, why I used the pictures that I used. You notice I don't use them anymore. You notice I almost don't do any sort of video manipulation anymore. Yeah, part of the reason is because I'm lazy and I don't have the tools, right? I need your support, you guys. Okay. I am not supported by a gynocentric bullshit world trying to crush men's souls. I am not trying to sell you coffee. I am not trying to sell you t-shirts and merchandise and get commercials from Google AdSense played on my videos. Yeah, I couldn't even listen to my audiobooks. Not on YouTube. No. Every 30 seconds, every minute and a half, it's another commercial. And it's a gay-ass weak commercial that insults and belittles men. Am I allowed to say this stuff, you guys? Spock talks. There's no such thing as a born-again virgin. Exactly. It's absurd. They're whores. They're whores who are selling their bodies for resources because she's pretty. She doesn't value the man. He's a mark. It's a con job. She's disgusted by him, and rightly so. If he really thinks that, like there's some emotional, interaction going on there. So the women are disgusted with these men. These good, civilized men who care about people's feelings and always want to make sure everybody gets their turn. Deep down, the women know what that is. They know that that's unfit genetics. And the man himself knows it too. This is why being a nice guy can kill you, because it'll break your spirit. And I've known men, and they were good men, and they were generous men, and they were honest men, and they were hardworking men, and you could depend on them. And not a single soul in the world looked their way and gave them value. Maybe another man did, maybe I did, maybe you did, but that wasn't enough. No, they needed the world to affirm what they are. They needed to overcome. They needed to dominate. They needed to be strong. They needed to take delight and pleasure in their strength. They needed to be a bit of a barbarian. They needed to delight in that barbaric nature. Where do you think we come from? Who do you think we are? Human beings. You think we're these perfect, pretty little flowers? For God's sakes. And do you think that, there's this loving, compassionate, merciful force in the universe looking over you like a loving parent who's going to guide you and take care of you? Do you think that? I think you're in for a surprise if you do. Hey, I've thought that. And I was wrong. No, it's brutal. You get up, you fight. And if you win the fight, you survive. And if you don't win the fight, nobody feels sorry for you. Nobody takes care of you. Nobody tells you you're a good man. You lose. That's all. And you suffer. And if that goes on long enough, eventually you die. Is that what you want? You won't offend anybody. You won't upset anybody. So I want you to be strong, okay? Check it out. All I need you to do is to search out the weakness within you, physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, okay? You know it's there. You know where it is. Like if you injured your knee back, in high school, and your knee has always been fucked up since then, and you've always kind of stayed away from that area, like you don't want to put too much weight on that area. I understand. Me too. I don't want you to put the weight on it yet. I just want you to recognize that it's there. I want you to stretch it out a little bit. I want you to breathe into the dead areas of your body. Maybe it's your lower back. Maybe it's your balls. Maybe it's your knee. Maybe it's your shoulder, your neck. Maybe it's your toes. Maybe it's your hair. Maybe it's your skin. I just want you to breathe into it. I just want you to feel that it's there. That area, that part where you got injured, maybe you hurt your back. I don't want you to put weight on it. I don't want you to stress it or strain it. I just want you to breathe into it. I just want your body to remember that it's there. And then I want you to have something that is almost impossible to have, that has been taken away from us. I want you to have courage. I want you to have belief. You know, I'm talking about male virtue. I'm talking about strength a lot. I'm really talking about courage. And I'm not talking about rash, foolish action. No. I'm talking about acknowledging the areas within you that are weak. Maybe you are a nice guy, and maybe you're too nice. Maybe you're nice to people who aren't respecting you. Okay? You can't be nice to somebody who doesn't respect you. So there was my friend. Good, kind, generous, strong, capable. Hobbies, build things, all kinds of stuff. Smart. You think the world respected him for that? It didn't. Quite the opposite. He's always nice, always good. Is being a nice guy killing you? He was nice. He was always good. So I want you to find those injured areas within your own body, within your own mind, and I want you to breathe into them. I want you to just kind of stretch a little bit into those areas. I want you to have the courage to go into the dead zone. I want you to have the courage to go into the no-go zone. I want you to start planning flights into that no-flight zone. You don't have to do them yet. I'm not asking you to do it yet. I'm just asking you to breathe into it. I'm just asking you to acknowledge that it's there. Have the courage to say, yeah, I injured my back. And ever since then, I've been afraid to put weight on it, to stress on it, and strain on it, because when I did, I re-injured it. So I'm not asking you to put the weight on it yet. I'm just asking you to acknowledge that it's there and to have the courage to acknowledge it, and then to stretch a little bit, and then to breathe a little bit. And I believe if you can demonstrate this courage to yourself, that it can start to turn around, that you can tap back into. Standing up to a bully. Didn't matter if you won or lost that fight. All that mattered is that you stood up. Now you got to stand up to the bully women, the fatty women, the fat, disgusting, feminized men. You got to stand up. Now, again, I'm not asking you to go out there and get into an argument. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying acknowledge that there's an injury there, that there's a little hesitancy there, and breathe into it. Don't be afraid of it. I'm not saying to do it yet. I'm just saying to acknowledge it and demonstrate some internal courage. Because here's the thing. If you don't believe that you can do something, you can't. You don't even believe you can do it. But if you believe you can do something, don't worry, you don't have to do it yet. If you believe you can do something, get a job, buy a house, be happy without, a particular pretty woman giving you compliments. Get back in touch with one of your old hobbies that brought you joy. If you believe that you can do it, we can start to do it. Here's the thing. You could be a great poet. You could be a great engineer. You could be a great violin player. You could be a great guitarist. You could be a great painter. You could be all of those things. Could, but you're not. Not yet. Now, you need to study and practice and learn how to play the guitar. Might take you 10 years. Might take you 10 weeks. If you get a good teacher and you practice the right way, you get really good. Now you can do the things necessary to acquire the ability. It's not going to be given to you by God. It's not just going to fall in your lap. So like you say, oh, I could learn to become a great guitar player. Yes, you could, but you still have to do it. But if you don't believe that you can, then no matter how hard you try, you're going to fail. This is why I want you to go into the dead zones of your own body, of your own psyche, of your own emotions. And believe me, they're there. Because there's no way that you could exist in this culture, in this society, where men are treated like dogs and looked upon as less than human and not have some sort of feeling about it. It's unfair. It's wrong. That some scumbag like George Clooney or one of these late night talk show hosts, yeah, they're famous. They're multimillionaires. Yeah, the world falls at their feet. And all you have to do to get that is, do what they did. Basically act completely gay unto yourself. Basically make a sham of masculinity, your own. But understand that by chasing after that, by trying to not upset or offend anybody, like that becomes the most important thing, that you are liked by others, that you cripple yourself, that there's no hope for the blonde Teutonic 6.5 foot, 250-pound man of muscle Viking berserker that you could be. Or at least you could feel that way. And at least you could carry yourself that way. And at least you could hold yourself in that regard. You could. It's possible. Spock talks. Seek approval from only yourself. Seek competition from only your past self. That's a good one too. Exactly. Well, you are competing with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not working out to try to lift more weight than the guy next to me, although we'll do that too. No, I'm just trying to get better, for myself. That's who I'm competing with. And this idea of, these dead zones in the body, in the mind, you can go there. Okay. You don't have to run a marathon. You don't have to, snatch 300 pounds. All you got to do is stretch. All you got to do is breathe. All you got to do is embrace your own nature. Hey, the Sacred Y is here. Thanks for stopping by, bro. 300,000 years of gynocentric androcide. You are the Y of everything, man. Protect yourself and your sacred seed of life at all costs. That's exactly what I'm saying, my brother. This is your message. This is my message. This is the message for the man, okay? This is God-given. This is male nature. This is the very thing that keeps our species alive. This is the soil out of which all of our virtues grew. And it's brutal, and it's savage, and it's powerful. What do you guys think of lightning? Right? It's pretty powerful, isn't it? Anybody ever been struck by lightning? That's some scary shit, right? I hear that shit going off near me, and I'm like, I'm going back in the house. My father wasn't like that. I don't know if he wasn't like that or if he just didn't show it, right? Like, because I was a kid and I'd watch him, right? And the thunder would crash and he wouldn't even blink, right? And I'd be like, how do you do that, Dad? He'd be like, I've been at war. I've got shells going off all around me. If it's going to hit me, it's going to hit me. And if it's not, it's not. I don't know, man. So yeah, lightning, man, it's a little dangerous, isn't it? Kind of like a man, kind of like a strong man. So, wow, wouldn't it be better if lightning, like just didn't cause any harm? Like it was still lightning, but it didn't do any harm. Or it really picked where it would land. Like it would never hit anything that was important, right? It would control itself. God damn it, the lightning would become civilized. That's what we need. We need civilized lightning. As if the lightning can decide where it strikes. As if lightning is an act of will, a choice. It's not. It can't be subtracted. If it's lightning, it's powerful. It's dangerous. It's unpredictable. It could kill us. Fucking lightning. Man, just not cooperating, not civilized. I'll bet the women don't like that at all. So now what about a strong man? What about a big bear? If it could just decide to be nice. So, but okay, so you're the big strong man, and now you have to be civilized. Now you have to be nice. Now you have to consider everybody's feelings. Well, that's not a strong man, is it? The strong man grew out of brutality, out of strife, out of struggle, out of death, out of torture. Yes, that's how we taught people back in the day. They didn't do what was right, we'd hang them by the neck. We'd put them in the electric chair. You see that's actually a good thing, right? Putting somebody in the electric chair is a good thing. And if the person is a vile enough criminal and piece of shit, not only is it a good thing, but we'll televise it. We'll watch it. We'll feel good about it. Justice, revenge. That's right. You want revenge. So do I. Oh, revenge is for God. No, I want the revenge. Somebody screws me over, I want to screw them over 10 times more. And I will feel good doing it. Now, modern man would be ashamed and guilty because he has a conscience, so he would feel bad about it. He would still do it, right? It's like watching a fight, you know what I mean? And the fighter that you don't like is getting beat, and the fighter that you do like is winning the fight. And you're like, yeah, fuck him up. If it goes too far, you're like, okay, stop the fight. There's no fight anymore. But no, that when you're watching that, okay, at least me, all right, when I'm watching a fight and my fighter is winning, I am like saying, fuck yes, hit him in the face, hit him again, knock him down, beat the shit out of him. Go ahead, throw a punch after the bell. Nah, not so much. You know what I mean? They don't need to cheat, but a little bit. I guess that makes me a bad man, huh? Yeah, I really do like your message, Sacred Y. I appreciate you, being around too. What's this? From Spock Talk. He says, Beauty and the Beast teaches men it doesn't matter if you're a criminal, doesn't matter what you look like. As long as you have money and a mansion, you get the prettiest girl in town. Okay, that's not bad. All right. But I think there's something missing there. I think that, like you're kind of skipping over the fact that the beast is in fact the real man. That the Prince Charming is a bullshit faker who's not sincere. He doesn't really have a hard dick. It's a fake. It's a front. It's a persona. It's bullshit. But the beast, for all of his savagery and all of his bestiality, at least he's authentic. At least he's real. At least he is what he is. At least he is not ashamed. At least he is not trying to be something else. And maybe that's also part of why the woman is willing to be with the beast. Because it's a sincere, strong man. And the modern man, with his pity and his compassion and his caring about everybody and everybody being all equal and never wanting to hurt anyone or anything, maybe that's just a false persona. Maybe that's just bullshit. Maybe that's being a nice guy when you don't want to be a nice guy. Maybe that's making you sick and killing you. Maybe that's when women see that, no matter how much money the man has, no matter how much of a mansion he has, it disgusts them. They know. They know. So I'm saying get back in touch with the beast. I'm saying embrace the beast. You ever see, hey, Spock talk. You ever see the Star Trek episode where Kirk gets split into two different halves? Right? The kind, compassionate, intelligent, thoughtful Captain Kirk. And then the manipulative, greedy, ambitious, dishonest, backstabbing, conniving, barbaric Kirk. That's a good one, isn't it? That's a good show because it plays a good message, doesn't it? We need that half. We give up that half and we become indecisive women. We become weak. We become sick. We let women act like they're in charge. Because what's most important on the battleship is that everybody's feelings are heard. Nobody's feelings get hurt. That's what's most important on the battleship. We let them do that, and we lose the battleship, and we lose the war, and we lose our lives, and we become slaves. And then we start saying things like, it's best to turn the other cheek. And we say things like, the meek shall inherit the earth. And I'm not anti-religious. I'm not. I'm just saying that, these are a set of values that fucked us up. They screwed us over. And I'm here to tell the truth. I don't want to lie. I don't want to bullshit you guys. Yeah, which reminds you, The Enemy Within. Great episode. Exactly. I also liked the Mirror Mirror episode, where they go into the alternate universe where the way you get ahead on that ship is by assassinating the people above you and you take their command. That was a great fucking episode. That was badass. I've watched the new Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Okay. And they had an episode, I think it might have been like the first episode, where they have to turn themselves into Vulcans. And Captain Pike becomes a Vulcan. The big blonde nurse becomes a Vulcan. And the not so attractive security officer, Union Sung, becomes a Vulcan. And they reject Spock because Spock is only half Vulcan and they consider themselves full Vulcan. But they don't become completely just like pure Vulcan. They hold on to some of their human qualities and then they bring them out as Vulcan. So the captain becomes somewhat indecisive and unable to make decisions and always wants to consider all points of view and always wants to say on the one hand this and on the other hand that, and I don't know what to do. So this human quality comes into this kind of Vulcan power. The nurse, she becomes dedicated to her work. All she doesn't care about relationships anymore. All she cares about is doing her job in the medical profession and testing this result and testing that result and the other one. But the security officer is the interesting one because she becomes power hungry. She wants to take over the ship and use the ship to start a war to then take over the galaxy. And she doesn't act like, the suggestion of the story is that they all have these impulses, but they don't act on these impulses, or they don't let these impulses overcome them. But now that they've become full Vulcan, this is like, they like genetic DNA shot, it's science fiction. Now some of these hidden latent qualities are coming to the forefront and they can't stop them. And her desire for domination and aggression, it's actually really attractive. It's actually like, oh shit, finally this is a character. Finally this is a character that has a gleam in her eyes, that has a smile, a real smile behind her lips, not a fake smile. But like, yeah, she wants to take the fuck over. She wants to control the ship. And it's a good thing. Just like, the enemy within, the Captain Kirk, without his brutal, barbaric, savage side, he can't be an effective captain. So that is what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need to bring that part back. Okay? We need to fix it up. We need to patch it up. We need to breathe into it. We need to go into that dead zone that the women, society, and culture have shamed us away from. These qualities that they're calling toxic. This is where our best qualities come from. I'm not saying you give free rein, to all of that, but I'm saying that you do delight in it a little bit, just as the character, the female security officer who really just wants to take over the universe. Once she embraces that, now she's a real character. Now she's a real personality. Now she's a complete personality. She's got this drive behind her. But up until then, no, she's just following orders. She's just detached from her own emotions. Spock with a beard, Spock with a goatee. Yeah, hey, you could use that one, as your avatar too. That sinister, aspect of it. But no, those episodes exemplify exactly what I'm talking about here. You got to embrace your dark side. Here, let me tell you what's going on here, okay? This is Carl Jung, the shadow self. We all have the shadow. We have to learn to embrace the shadow. Excuse me. But here's what happens. The young person's growing up, and they exhibit some true, authentic human qualities, like they want to take over the universe. They want to be in charge. They want to run the show. They don't like being told what to do. It makes them sick. Okay? It's genuine. It's real. But when they display that quality, the rest of the world shuts them down and shames them and punishes them and says, you're not allowed to be that way, Johnny. You're not in charge. You have to share. You don't get to be captain of the ship. You have to check with everybody and make sure that everybody gets to share and that their voice and their feelings are heard. And only then can you make a democratic decision. So that aspect of Johnny's personality, he says, oh shit, I can't bring that out. I can't show that. I feel it, but I get punished. So he pushes it down. He pushes it down inside. And whenever he feels like he wants to be in charge, whenever he feels like he wants to say, you guys don't know what you're talking about, this is the way that I look at it, he doesn't do it. He knows that he'll get punished for that. Or if he sees an attractive woman or a girl that he likes and he says, wow, you're hot. I want to hang out with you. What are you doing later? She's like, ew, you're a creep. Leave me alone. I would never want to be with a man like you. Ew. You should have come up to me and been all sweet and polite and brought me flowers and everything like that. Well, then little Johnny says, damn, putting that out there got me rejected. I got to push that down. I got to come up to the girl that I feel that way about, and I got to bring her flowers. And I got to whisper sweet nothings to her. And so this other aspect of his personality now gets pushed down. He says it's gone, that he's going to forget it, but it's not gone. It's now in the shadow. It's now in the dark. And now it's time to get a job. And Johnny is like, I'm better than these guys. I can do the job better. And I'm going to let them know. So he's like, I'm better than all of you at this. And I should be in charge. And I should get the job. And here, I'll demonstrate it. And they say to him, wow, he's an asshole. He's an arrogant asshole. Nobody likes him. And so he doesn't display that anymore. And it goes into the shadow. And so now he's mealy-mouthed. He whispers pretty nothings. He never asserts the fact that he's good at anything because we're all equal and we're all good at something. That's the false persona that we present to the world. The true self has been pushed down into the shadow. That's the dark place. That's the dead zone that I need you to kind of breathe into. Start looking at it again. Let's reawaken the beast. Let's reincorporate the barbaric nature of Captain Kirk into our false persona. Reawaken those fundamental drives that you feel that came out of the soil of brutality and barbarism because we needed it. Honestly, okay? Somebody steals from you, somebody breaks their word to you, you break their arm, and you feel good about it. Somebody goes against your fighter, and you don't like that. And when your fighter's dominating and beating the shit out of somebody, you're cheering for him. When the security officer gets this new intellectual power of a Vulcan, she uses it to take over the ship. Thank God. Thank God she didn't use it to like knit somebody a sweater or be nice or consider all points of view. Thank God she was able to tap. But you see, that's the whole thing, right? Because it's a woman and she gets to do that in this day and age, but you sure the hell don't. Okay, agreed. Being the modern pussy man is not a man at all. Yeah, that is what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay, so let me ask for your support over, there it is, on Cash App. Because I need your support. And if you don't support me, you're just going to get a bunch of feminized content that YouTube pushes down your throat and breaks your spirit and turns you into something that is no man at all. So seriously, I'm just trying to get some food. That's all I'm trying to do, man. I just want to go to the store and buy myself some ground beef, right? So if you can, help me out over there on Cash App. Click on it. Do what you can. Howard Dare channel. I'll put it to good use, mainly food. And understand, I'm not getting food anyplace else. YouTube's not paying me. I'm not selling you out. Do you hear the way I'm talking to you? Okay? You're not allowed to talk like this. Not if you want to get money. Not if you want to sell merchandise. But you are allowed to talk like this if you want to save the souls of men, if you want to make men strong again, if you want to perform the fucking function of a battleship, then you need to do what a battleship does. Okay? So, if I want to help make men strong, if I want to highlight the path back to life, it's brutal. It's harsh. Can't get any support. You want a sharp spear? You want to know how to hunt? Well, you come from a brutal, barbaric age, and we would not have learned it. We wouldn't even have a memory. Okay? Memory was burned into us. We acquired the ability to have a memory. And we remembered it by suffering, blood, and torture. In other words, we made a mistake somewhere. We hunted the wrong creature. Our spear wasn't big enough. And we got hurt. Do you remember it? I should hope so. You will remember it to the degree that you suffered. In other words, the more that they suffer, the more that we suffer, the more we remember it. So the kid does something wrong. They say you should never, discipline, hit a child. But the kid does something really wrong, really ugly, You smack him in the face, don't you? He'll remember that. You don't play games. If you spare the rod, you spoil the child, and he doesn't become a man. That's how it is. That's where we come from. Okay? Captain Kirk needs that part of his personality. The brutal part, the savage part. He can't be a captain without it. He's a mealy-mouthed, weak man otherwise. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Somebody helping me out over there on Cash App. I can't survive without it, man. And I don't want to be a mealy-mouthed piece of shit man who's compromised. I don't. My friend, and I don't even like to use his name because my friend Vincent MGTOW, okay? He did really well. He did well with Bitcoin. He was really smart. He took care of his father. He helped out the fellow MGTOW. He offered words of encouragement. But the world outside, the women didn't like look to him and be like, that's a strong man. The other men didn't look in that way. This is hard for me to say. And I think it broke him. I think he lost a part of his nature. This is why I don't agree with the whole idea of, MGTOW means that you don't like women. I still like women. If I see an attractive woman and scantily dressed and she's, being nice, I mean, I'm looking at her. I'm not like turning away. And if I thought that she could be a real partner to me, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'd like that. If she's bringing something to the table, hell yeah, I'm down for that. Now, we know as MGTOW men that, she's going to revert to her own nature, right? This is not all women are like that. It's like, no, but they can all be like that. So, there's this danger. But again, what the fuck do you care about danger? Well, actually, wait a minute, back that up. Yeah, you got to be careful with the women, okay? The false accusations. I suppose not everybody knows, that I was here many years ago and had a MGTOW channel up to about 75,000 subscribers. And I got falsely accused by a woman in a shopping store, of like, groping her. Okay. And there was no evidence, you know what I mean? There was everything in the store is on video, and, there's nothing there. The only thing that was there was her coming up to me. And I lost everything, you know. And 6, 7 years, I'm recovering now. It's like 7 years later. And the legal system knew that she was lying. They knew that she had done this before to several other men. And they didn't care. They did not care. They came after me because they were a bunch of fucking Captain Save-A-Hos. They were a bunch of fucking white knights. They do what the women want. They protect the women. They protect the women against the bad man, right? And that was another thing that they could, yeah, sure. Okay, fine. I'll share this with you. I'm sitting there in trial. She's up on stand, okay? This is a jury trial, 12 jurors. I'm looking at 15, 20 years. She's just making shit up, lying her way through it. Prosecution they presented no evidence. They've simply said things like, Officer Smith, did you arrive at the scene? He says, yes, I arrived at the scene at 10:15. Then I went and looked at the video evidence. But there is no evidence. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing showing anything. So she's up there talking. And at one point she says, I could tell he was a bad man just by the way he looked at me. He's looking at me like that right now. That's what she said on the stand to a jury. I wasn't even looking at her. Of course, you know what I mean? My life is on the line. I've got a poker face on. So just the way you look at them, just what they feel, anything that they feel, and you're responsible. They're not even responsible for their own feelings. Okay? You know, smart man, a pastor, nonetheless, he was a pastor, but he was a very open-minded pastor. One of the things he would say often is like, look, there's, like 16,000 different versions of Christianity. They don't all agree. Are you going to tell me which one of them is right? Are you going to say this is the right one and that's the wrong one? So he had a very big, open-minded view of the whole thing. He liked to talk about universal laws, just things like having a positive attitude. But at one point, he had a young wife, okay? He was probably about 50, and she was probably late 20s, mid to late 20s. And I was running a food bank for him. That's what I was doing. I was running the operations of it. I was bringing in the food, putting it away, storing it up, getting it ready to be handed out on, food bank days, and then passing it out. But I wasn't like running or paying the bills or anything like that, but I was running the operations of it. And at one point, his wife, see, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of the place, right? It's like, where does this go? It's like, okay, bring those boxes over here, bring those boxes over there, put those out, throw those away. Okay, give these ones out first. If the place is going to run, it's got to run through me because I'm the man in charge. And she's trying to, tell me this and tell me that. And I'm letting her be in charge, but, there's a limit. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I've got a stack of boxes, 10 boxes high. They're all about 40, 50 pounds. And if you play any sort of games, they're going to come crashing down and the food's going to get spoiled and I'm going to have to throw it away. So she's not in charge. You know what I mean? She doesn't even know what's going on. And at one point she looks at me and she says, I hate you. And just so you know, all of the women here hate you too. That's what she said to me. And I guess I was a little upset about it, right? It was like, damn, that's pretty harsh. the wife of the man who runs the place, who owns it all, she says she hates my guts and that all the other women here hate my guts too. And I looked at the pastor, her husband, and I said, man, that hurts my feelings. And you know what he said to me? He said, yeah, don't worry about it. She's just a woman. Talking about his own wife, okay? Telling me that she hates me, and all the women there hate me too. And I'm upset about it when it happened. And he looked at me like it was just water off the back, like, don't worry about it, man. She's just a woman. So that's the truth of it. Unfortunately, the women are in charge. They are the majority of your legal profession. They are the majority of your medical profession. They are the majority of your justice workers. Soon, they'll probably be the majority of our military, right? Brian Phillips, blue-pilled man. It's been about 7 years since I listened to you. Well, thanks for coming by, Brian. I appreciate having you back. Charismatic Fiend is here. Okay. Charismatic Fiend is I could call myself the Charismatic Fiend too. Okay. That's a great name. I just love that. Made with 100% masculinity, no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. Exactly right. Let us be proud to be men and all that entails. And that entails domination, strength, barbarism, brutality, torture, horror, all of it. It's nothing to me. It's like water off my back. It is the soil from which I sprung. It is the soil out of which my virtue and all of our virtue sprung. You cannot give that up without losing the fundamental aspect of the whole thing. You got to take the good with the bad. You got to take the bad with the good. You don't get to pick and choose, okay? Lightning strikes, and it is powerful, and it is indiscriminate, and it will destroy you. But that is the nature of lightning. You are a man. You are strong. You are powerful. You are proud. You delight in some savagery. I'm not saying that we're savages or that we should hurt anybody. I'm saying that I like a good fight. I'm saying I like when I stood up to the bully, even if I lost. I liked telling the boss that I didn't like to go fuck himself. That felt good. Now I'm supposed to be some nice guy who never hurts anybody's feelings? I grew up. My father trained me as an Olympic weightlifter. He was a really good one. I was just, amateur, stuff like that. A while back, I was going to a gym and was working out, and I was getting used to the machines again. I couldn't mess with the free weights because I know, right? I can do anything with a machine, but the free weight, that's potentially dangerous. But I had this old man, he was like a roommate of mine, following me around the gym. And he was like saying, oh, you should lift it this way. Oh, you should do this and you should do that. And it was fucking embarrassing because he was out of shape. He didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And he was trying to be this nice guy. And I was fresh out of prison, right? And I'm working out in my element. Spent years in the gym. Shit, I converted my bedroom, my studio apartment, into a gym. It started out as a gym, then it turned into a studio. Started out as a garage, then it turned into a gym. I had a ton of equipment. And then my father turned it into a studio apartment with my help. He could build houses. He was one of the strongest men in the world. I know that's a silly thing to say, but he really was. He was a phenomenon. He was short, though. He was about 5'4", right? But damn, he was like nothing you could imagine. You know what I mean? This is a man who could, clean and jerk 450, 500 pounds. This is a man who could snatch 300, 350 pounds, right? Just grab 350 pounds, boom, straight up over his head. fucking amazing, right? So I was nothing like that. But yeah, I had this old guy walking or following me around in the gym, me fresh out of prison. I got a bunch of hot girls in the gym wearing the fucking spandex, and I'm checking them out. And I've been going there for days now. You know what I mean? This is not just like me walking into the gym and, trying to use the machines. No, I've been going there now for a couple of weeks, and I'm seeing the same girls every day, every morning, and they're seeing me, and I'm good at this shit. Right. And I know my machines and I know how to lift. And I got this fat old man following me around saying, yeah, 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 yeah. And finally I was like, get the fuck away. I don't need you to tell me what to do here. And his refrain was, I was just trying to help. He's just trying to be a nice guy. Yeah, that guy in the gym was my uncle. I know. Hey, that guy in the gym could have been me. It might be me in another 10 years. Adam listened to a woman once, and look where that got us, gentlemen. That's exactly right. And Adam was given the task of naming things, okay? So we are naming what is good, and that's life-affirming strength. We are affirming what is bad, and that is selling out your own true, authentic male nature, including all of its savagery, for this false persona, by forcing your true self down into the shadow. The movie Fight Club. Like, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but, Tyler Durden is not real. That's his own personality. That's the own shadow self of his personality coming out. And what a great message that is for men. No, you don't have to burn down the city, but you do got to fight. You do got to embrace it. And I believe that the game that the women are playing and that the other men are playing, they're shaming us out of embracing our own masculine nature. And we're becoming these nice, weak guys. And it's killing us. Just like it killed my friend. Just like it kills many men. And when it doesn't do that, it saps the strength and the vitality. It's not enough just to survive. You have to have a reason to survive. You have to want it. You have to love it. You have to embrace it. Not just getting by. I don't want that. I like going to the gym. I like seeing the women. I like them seeing me. I did not like having, my sick old uncle following me around. And I liked the attitude of the pastor who, when his own wife said, I hate you, and all the women here hate you, he said, don't even worry about it. It's just a woman. So, you want to say, no, it's an equal. Okay, we're all equal. No, we're not. She hasn't been to jail. She hasn't been stabbed. She hasn't fought for her life. She hasn't rescued people who were, in that kind of a situation. She hasn't suffered. She hasn't lost dozens of jobs. She hasn't gotten punched in the face, punched in the gut, thrown into the gutter, clubbed over the head, thrown into the trunk of a car. She hasn't done any of that shit. She don't know jack shit. I've made thousands of videos. I've spent thousands of hours sitting here talking like this. Yeah, thousands of hours, sure. Then you take, some of the other really established MGTOW content creators, someone like Sandman, someone like TFM. And YouTube promotes a woman making MGTOW content, and the men watch her. What does she know? What can she offer? It's male mother need. It's the metal mother who gives electrical shocks, that once had a soft blanket that the baby monkey still cuddles up to, even while he's getting shocked. So the women are spitting on us, treating us like garbage, getting us fired from our jobs, lying about us, pretending that they have the skills that they don't, and pretending that we don't have the skills that we do. And we love them. They're so pretty. She's not that pretty, friend. And I'll tell you, they're getting uglier too. Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about it, like in a group therapy session with the being facilitated by this young girl. She's, in her like early 20s. She doesn't know jack shit. She can barely read. She's just like some kind of like rah-rah cheerleader type, but without being as cute as a cheerleader, right? She's got well, I don't want to be cruel, but she's basically got the shape of a man going on there. Not a healthy, fit man, but just like a kind of like chubby, kind of just undefined man. But she's young, and she's got a pretty face, and she's got pretty eyes. I wouldn't say she has a pretty body, but you would never, ever in a million years put a man at the same qualification level in the position. You see my point? Like if you were just going to take a 20-year-old guy who doesn't know what he's doing and then have him talk to people that are living on the edge, possible, suicide, things like that, homelessness, drug addiction, violent crime, all of it. You're going to have a 20-year-old boy, 20-year-old guy come up there and just kind of like be like rah, rah, rah. Like, come on, everybody. You just got to get with it, man. You just got to believe. You just got to have some self-confidence, bro. Come on. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why don't you go read somebody else, go read somebody else's content. See, that's another thing I don't like here on YouTube. People using other people's content, all these, reaction videos, right? I understand why we like them. I like, the attractive single woman crying into the camera, right? Gotta like that. Where have all the good men gone? And then the guy comes on and he, says, oh, they've all run away from you because you're a hypergamous bitch. I understand why people like the content, okay? But that's a man taking the woman's content, putting it on his channel, and then mocking her. It gets a lot of views. It makes him a lot of money. But it's a man taking someone else's content, putting it on their channel, and then making fun of it. It's weak. It's unworthy. It's bullshit. It's stealing. It's the kind of thing that I would that you should get your hand chopped off for. And if you wanted to build a strong world of men, that's what you do. Otherwise, they keep stealing. And they keep showing the pretty woman's video and then saying what they think about it. Well, what do you think about men? What do you think about the situation? How are you going to help anybody? You're going to help men by luring them into your content with videos of pretty women. And YouTube is going to promote the hell out of that. And the men watching it, their identity, their male identity dissolves. Just dissolves. See, they don't have to convince you of anything. They don't have to convince you that men are good, women are bad, women are good, men are bad. They don't have to convince you to vote for this politician or that politician. All they have to do is divert your attention for a few moments. Major earthquake in Japan today, thousands die. Volcano eruption in Hawaii. Thousands flee for their lives. Social unrest in Japan. They don't have to convince you of anything. All they have to do is keep shuffling some attention-grabbing thing. Pretty girl crying. Where have all the good men gone? They don't have to convince you of anything. All they have to do is keep giving you emotional content that triggers you emotionally. And you know what it does? It destroys your identity. I call it identity diabetes. Okay? We just keep hitting the identity. New attention, new attention, new attention. Pretty girl, ugly girl. They voted this way. They voted that way. Social unrest here. These people protesting there. Don't have to convince you. Just have to keep hitting you with these little sugar dopamine hits. And the identity, the hobbies that you had, the idea that you were working on, the video that you were working on, the paper you were working on, the picture you were working on, the artistic thing you were working on, the thing you were building on, maybe the new addition to the room. All of it just diverts away. And the identity gets weaker and weaker until it is filled with junk food. Diabetes of the identity. And then the identity is gone. Then it's just whatever they want to replace in there. See, they don't have to convince you. They just have to divert you with bullshit. And it has to come quick. And it has to always be a new one. And then another new one. And then another new one. This will weaken the attention, the focus, the identity. And then, once they have you at that stage, then they can insert anything they want. Then they can tell you who the good politician is and why. And because we're used to just being bombarded with meaningless ideas, this toxic idea that we're all equal, we're all the same, you have to treat everybody fairly, takes root. And that's a poisonous idea. We're not all equal. Some of us are good people. Some of you support me. Charlie Kirk. Yeah, okay. Charlie was the only guy raising these kids. Now they're going to stop jerking off and cause 69 million abortions. Okay, well, I didn't follow the whole thing there, and I don't know that I want to, Frank, but Charlie was reaching out to the young people. And he was speaking, truthfully and honestly. Now, the truth, okay, that's a big deal, okay? Who knows? Who really knows? But he was speaking to them. See, I don't have the truth. I don't have the answers, but I've got a lot of good questions. I've got a lot of important questions. So, this is the question. In order to get along, you become this nice guy who doesn't want to offend anybody, or who, doesn't offend anybody, who doesn't do anything wrong, who never says anything that might upset anybody, who does not speak his mind. But you lose the savage, the barbarian, the strength, the drive, the ambition, the gleam in your eye. So, are you going to say that it's wrong to watch a fight and to root for one side? Are you going to say that it is wrong to want to defeat your enemy and to delight in it? How do you guys feel about, Antifa and those people? When they're marching on the streets and shit, and they're talking shit, and they're waving their signs, and they're saying this, and they're saying that, and everybody's being all polite around them. Do you ever feel like taking one of them and fucking punching them in the face? I do. You ever feel like taking them by the fucking hair, punching them in the face, putting them on the ground, dropping a knee on the neck? I do. You ever feel like kicking the shit out of them while they cry? I do. Feels good. Really? It's like, whew, that's nice. I like that. Right now, like they'll take that out of context, right? I would hate for that to be taken out of context. Actually, I don't think you could take it out of context. That's right. I like to beat the shit out of somebody who I think is worthless. That's right. I like to see them suffer. That's right. That's not a bad quality. That's the very place out of which justice and honesty and responsibility are born. And it's a bad, dangerous, scary place. I'll grant you that. But it is our nature. Just as you can't have the good, capable part without the strong, savage part. You just can't have them both. If you give up one, you lose it. My message is much deeper than that. My message is much deeper than the idea that modern media and identity politics. See, that's why they call it identity politics. They're replacing your identity. Okay? And we think it's entertainment, but it's not. It's not entertainment. It's addiction. Oh, maybe you're a big Harry Potter fan. Nothing wrong with that. But the people give up their identity. They dress up as their favorite character. Do you see the compromise that it's inducing? The selling out. This is why you need to read books, even if you read them on your phone. This is why you need to read the classics. Philosophy, literature. I'm reading the genealogy of morals right now. A lot of these ideas that I'm talking about right now, that's where they come from. Yeah, by all means, check out essay number 1, parts 1 and 2 of Friedrich Nietzsche's The Genealogy of Morals. Not Beyond Good and Evil. I mean, you could check that out too. But specifically, The Genealogy of Morals, part 1, A and B. Check those out. This is where you're going to find the parts that got misused by the Nazis. This is where you're going to find those parts about the birth of the greatness of how good and bad in the hands of the aristocratic, yes, Aryan races is a good that arises out of the man himself. Strength is good. Being able to hunt is good. He is the source of the goodness. And then how a dependent slave class comes along who does not have these good qualities and says, goodness is turning the other cheek, giving charity, taking care of people, never hurting anybody. And the bad are the strong. So, you've got your birds of prey and you've got your lambs. And the birds of prey, they're strong. And they hunt the lambs. And the lambs say, it is bad, to be strong and to hunt lambs. That's bad. That's evil. But to be a lamb who can do no harm, who is so gentle and would never upset anybody, that is good. Indeed, that is God. That is what God is like. And that those who could harm us, who have the strength to harm us, who have the strength that they called good, they're not just bad, they're evil. So this is why men are considered evil. This is why men are selling their souls to be good and betraying themselves. And this is how media destroys your identity in order to facilitate doing that. It's just entertainment, man. No, it's not. It's a diversion of gynocentric values and the insulting and the destruction of the male identity. And that's what I'm fighting against. So that's what I'm asking for the support for. That's why I need your help. I will not give up. I will not fail. I don't care that I have a smaller channel. Some of these videos are created for men that may not even exist yet. There might only be one or two out there that can hear this, that can brave to hear this, to understand this. Don't wait until it's too late. Get back in touch. Identify with the strength again. Support me over on Cash App so that I can continue to get strong and build. This is what has to happen. You know this is what has to happen. You know this is what has to happen for me, for you, and for the other men. It's not entertainment. It's not, let's watch this video of this girl, this pretty girl crying into the camera with her heaving breasts, and then let's make fun of her. And I'm going to say that that's my content. Jesus Christ. What the hell? What a fucking simp. What a mealy-mouthed fucking female worshipping simpish piece of shit who sells out his fellow man and himself for entertainment, for money, to be popular. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be that harsh, because it is just entertainment. I don't need to take all of it so seriously, but you get what I'm saying. You get where I'm coming from. You see the need for the thing. I would rather reach one young man and help him not go down the road of that nice guy who ends up killing himself and breaking his own heart than anything else. That's what I'm working for. So that's what I'm asking for your support for. Does it make sense? I think that makes sense. All right. I don't know, moving forward, right? Like, should I build my channel up and, 100 people listening to it? I could do that. Would I be able to talk the way I talk? I don't know. Certainly not with commercials, right? I'm not getting any sponsors for this, am I? Right? Yeah. I want to direct you over to my coffee app, or to my coffee that I'm selling. Jesus. Right? It would be like a doctor who's trying to save your life, right? Just stopping in the middle of what's going on and then just going on a pitch. It's like, wait a minute, are you a fucking doctor or are you a salesman? Right? Or a lawyer, right? Talking to you about okay, this is our strategy. This is how we're going to approach things, and if we get it wrong, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. Oh, and incidentally, my brother-in-law owns a used car sales lot, and he's offering these specials at this time. And it's like, what? So I think this speaks to the whole idea of the battleship not being the battleship anymore. You know what I mean? Like the person's making the content and it's not really about the content. It's about selling the commercial. So, and it's about destroying the male identity. I think this is really true for me. So I want to expand on it and I want your support to do it. And, I just want to get some food. You know what I mean? It's hard. And, hopefully, as I get better, I can share the positive message with the men. So I'm going to keep going at it. I'm probably going to be doing this a little bit more regular now because I'm getting so pissed off. Oh God. Yeah. Like I'm supposed to sit around for like 2 hours listening to some idiot girl do like idiot cheerleader rah-rah bullshit so that she can keep her job. Meanwhile, the people are fucking suffering and dying. It's true. They don't care. They care about their job. All right. I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section below. I think I'm going to try to start doing this on a regular basis, like maybe at about 4 or 5 o'clock my time. I've got it at 9:17 right now. So I think maybe I'll start out doing that a few days a week and then maybe move it to 5 days a week with this type of a message, right? That'll be the hard part, maintaining this kind of a message, not going into just, bullshit entertainment. So let's keep it real. Breathe into the dead zones. Embrace, understand that lightning is dangerous. And a strong man, he's not a mealy-mouthed piece of shit that, doesn't hurt anybody and always watches everybody's feelings and everything like that. No. There's, big dog on the yard. That's you in your life. That's my message. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. And join me again as I plan. That means if I don't get arrested, to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.